This video is on preparing for an interview, specifically how to organize the information around your career history and the flow from one position to the next throughout that history in a way that's clear and concise so you can easily share that in the interview. It's not uncommon for us to get feedback when a candidate has not performed well in an interview that they had a hard time being clear and concise as they shared their experience. And sometimes that feedback is also that they were rambling. So taking some time before the interview to organize that information and be comfortable sharing it can go a long way to helping you share it in a way that makes sense, is easy to understand, and still feels authentic. There's a specific way I often suggest you organizing the information. It's mostly to help you organize it in your mind, but I do suggest writing it down. And you can definitely use this formula in terms of how you say it out loud as you're in the interview, but at least take the opportunity to write it down so that it's organized in your mind before going into the interview. It's important to start with the company name, the product or service that the company provided, the customers that they served, your function or role, what you were brought in to do or what you focused on solving in that role, what you implemented in order to do that, the results or outcome you drove, and why you left. So to take this example for a marketer, let's say they worked at company X, which was a B2C subscription fintech startup providing a platform for consumers to manage their spending. They were the first marketing leadership hire, and they were brought on to establish and build the marketing function from scratch. They did this by hiring a team and setting up and growing marketing over the specific channels, including paid search, paid social, and content. You can include whatever channels there. And ultimately growing subscribers from 1,000 to 10,000 over X years. This was an early stage startup that struggled to secure additional funding rounds. So after X years, they moved to a more established company to gain the experience of optimizing marketing at scale. So it just kind of goes through what the company was, what the product was, what they did, what the results were, and why they left. And doing that for every position allows you then to kind of show the flow from one position to the next. Now, then I also suggest writing down a few examples of problems that you solved or projects that you led. And these are essentially going to be the examples that you use to share specifics in an interview. So when someone asks you, tell me about a time when, or how do you approach X problem, or how did you solve Y? You can pull the specifics from these projects. So they should be big enough projects where you can get a few different examples from that. Using the marketing example, if that person has, let's say, set up marketing from scratch, I think that's a big enough project where they could then answer questions around maybe how they built a team, how they approached marketing spend, and how they optimized paid social, for example. There's like a lot of different pieces in there that they could pull from within one overarching problem or challenge. So I also suggest using that same type of formula for the examples. So what was the company, what was the product or service, who were the customers, what was your role in that, what were you focused on solving for, what you implemented, what the outcome was, and then I would also add what you learned. And I think this is a really great one to add in terms of not just what you learned, but also like if you were to go back and do it with your perspective and experience now, how would you do it differently? This shows not only that you've learned from your past experience and could bring that learning into a new position, but also that you're someone who's self-reflective and can actively continue to grow and evolve over time. Lastly, the other thing you want to write down is what you're looking for next. And I also encourage you to watch a video by my co-founder, Andrea Rishmawi, which goes through not just what you want to do next, but also how to find and how to clarify the companies and opportunities that are actually looking for what you're looking to do. So definitely watch that if you have a few minutes. But for the sake of this exercise, I recommend just writing down 1 to 2 sentences on specifically what you're looking to do and what would be a good fit for you. Again, to take that same example of the marketer, let's say that person has a lot of experience building from scratch, but now they're looking to take that skill set and lead marketing at scale in a high growth environment with a product that's mission driven. And if you have other experience here that ties in, you can definitely highlight that as well. Maybe you worked at a restaurant right after college, so you feel connected to the hospitality industry and would love to apply your skill set there. Whatever it is, that is taking what you've done before and essentially clarifying how you'd like to do that in the future, or how you'd like to apply that to a future position, and why being the mission or the thing that is going to make you feel connected to that. Definitely take the opportunity to write that down. That's a really important thing to be able to share in an interview as well. Now, I mentioned this in my last video, but the last piece here is to really be sure to practice saying all of this out loud. Organizing this info is great to help you be able to share it in a clear and concise way, but it's also really important for it to sound natural. So taking the opportunity to speak it out loud, whether that's in front of a mirror or in a video call that's just yourself, so you get the practice saying it while looking at yourself, since so many of us are interviewing in a remote environment, which is typically over a video call. It's really important that when you are speaking it, it feels natural, it feels authentic, and you're not thinking about what to say next. That's what practicing does, is it helps it feel natural for you to say out loud. You're not thinking about what you're saying or how to say it. And that also frees you up to stay present and be able to connect with the person that you're interviewing with.